Ian from Touratech USA here to talk to you today about the Touratech Shocks. These are unlike any other shock available right now because they are made specifically for adventure touring motorcycles. They're sprung and valved for a 220-pound rider in their gear who carries some luggage, sometimes rides with a passenger, and travels both on and off pavement. All of these shocks feature adjustable rebound dampening. This is a feature that's standard across the entire range. Adjustable rebound changes the way that the shock extends after absorbing a bump. This allows you adjustability in how your motorcycle feels riding over rough roads. The entire line of Touratech suspension features a floating piston design where your oil bath is mechanically separated by a piston from your nitrogen charge. Unlike an oil emulsion shock, this design keeps foaming to an absolute minimum. Foaming is really bad for dampening consistency because as you ride and as the shock cycles, your dampening will change with more bubbles being created. The full line of Touratech suspension features a high-strength 6082 aluminum body that's been heat treated to a T6 hardness level. This gives you a shock body that's both light, has great heat dissipation qualities, and wears extremely well. The full line of Touratech suspension uses a low-friction Teflon back seal that maximizes performance and extends the life of the shock. A common failure point in many aftermarket suspension systems are the bushings, both upper and lower. Touratech has addressed this by creating a very stout, very strong, oversized stainless steel bushing that's pressed into the shock body. This helps eliminate any stress risers in the center of the pivot, which protects the shock and protects the shock bolt on the motorcycle. The Touratech shocks are extremely strong here. This is the first shock that we have to offer. This one gives you a rebound adjustment at the bottom and preload that's adjustable by this threaded wheel at the top. This shock is called the Explore. The next shock in line is the Explore HP. The shock body and the shock shaft and the rebound adjuster at the bottom are the same as the Explore shock. This shock adds a hydraulic preload adjuster at the top. This shock's for a rider who uses their motorcycle in many different load scenarios, sometimes by themselves, sometimes with luggage, sometimes with a passenger. The Touratech Suspension hydraulic preload adjuster offers 15 millimeters of travel compared to usually 8 to 10 millimeters for most of the aftermarket shocks. A common failure point on many shock absorbers with adjustable preload is the sealing area on the piston here. Touratech has addressed that by using a piston with twice as much surface area where the fluid is pressing against it, which gives you half the working pressure for the fluid. This allows the preload adjuster to be much stronger and for the seals to last much, much longer under the same load conditions. This shock is the Expedition unit. This gives you the same shock body, the same shaft, and the same rebound adjuster at the bottom. It gives you the same hydraulic preload adjuster at the top here, the same 150-pound adjustment for different riding scenarios. It also adds this external reservoir and the high and low speed bypass adjustment. This is for your compression dampening. What this allows you to do is fine-tune the way that your bike handles bumps and really make precise adjustments to the rear suspension. The external reservoir also helps to dissipate heat, so if you're riding the bike aggressively over more rough terrain, this shock, the dampening will remain consistent a lot longer. This shock is the Extreme Level shock. This gives you the same high-strength aluminum shock body, the same chromoly steel shaft, and the same rebound adjuster at the bottom. You also have the same hydraulic preload adjuster at the top. This shock has the same external reservoir as the Expedition Level shock with the high and low speed bypass adjustment. This shock adds adjustable length here at the bottom. You can increase or decrease the shock length by 4 millimeters. This allows you to really fine-tune the handling of the motorcycle by adjusting the ride height at the rear end. This Extreme Level shock includes a position-dependent dampening system. There's a cup at the top of the shock and an extra piston on the shaft that, as the shock approaches bottom out, it creates a hydraulic cushion, almost like a pillow at the top of the travel, to really smooth out the bottoming of the shock. When you order a Touratech shock, you fill out a rider profile that tells us your riding weight, the amount of luggage you typically carry, and what type of riding you like to do. We use that information to select a custom spring that's specific to you and your bike. When the shocks are in stock at the shop, we can change the springs out same day and have your shock ready to deliver.